What is up, guys? This is Zach from Angler's Escape, and in front of me I have 5 great pan fishing lures for bluegill, sunfish, and other panfish. And so let's get started with number 1. But number 1, if I could only have one lure in my tackle box for panfish and bluegill, that'd be a small inline spinner. Right here I have a Panther Martin size 1, 1/8 ounce inline spinner, and these are by far my favorite lure for bluegill and other panfish. Especially on sunny days, you can't beat them. They give out a lot of splash. They're really small, but they're still pretty dense, so with 2 to 4 pound test line, you can really launch them quite a distance. By far my favorite lure. Another good one for inline spinners is Blue Fox spinners. They're a little bigger, but I still catch quite a few bluegills on them. But when you're going for these bluegill inline spinners, you want as small as possible, and Panther Martin does some really great job on making some small inline spinners. So second of all, my second favorite lure would be just small plastics. So here's some panfish creatures like a sassy shad, really small, only about 3/4 of an inch. Small tube jig. These are all really good, but not quite as good as the inline spinners, but I use them on days that are a little more overcast. So let's go ahead and move on to panfish lure number 3, and that's small crankbaits. You'd be surprised, but sometimes those big bluegills can really hammer some big crankbaits. Here's a wigglewort. It's only about 2 inches. I wouldn't use a crankbait that's bigger than 2 inches for a panfish like a bluegill, but sometimes you'd be surprised when they're aggressive in the midsummer. They can really hit some big baits. Here's a big old square bill I have right here, and I've caught bluegill on it. So they can take big baits, but you usually won't catch as many, but you'll catch better quality. Here's a really small minnow crankbait. This is a good one for them. And here's a small lipless crankbait that I catch some bluegill on. And so now moving on to number 4 is a small jig. This is a 1/64 ounce jig. You need about 2 to 4 pound test line, usually a little bit of split shot to cast it out a ways, and a bobber. But the bluegill do hit these little jigs. It just imitates a little minnow, which is usually their forage. And so finally, the favorite way, and my favorite way to catch bluegill with a lure is by fly fishing. And bluegills do eat a lot of bugs off the surface, so they're usually pretty active and will take a lot of flies. I actually have a video that I'll add a link to of me fly fishing for bluegill, but I got a bunch of flies here, and they were great for the bluegill. But again, I hope you use one of these lures. The takeaway is the inline spinners, as small as possible, are great for bluegill on sunny days. But at the end of the day, if you can find bait, a little bit of worm or a wax worm on 2 to 4 pound test line with some split shot and a bobber, it's a great way to catch them. But if you don't have bait, try one of these lures. And I hope you learned something here today, and thanks for watching.